As you grow your business, the more eyes you'll get, the more you need to think about your security. Let me ask you something. Are you vulnerable? Protecting your data is extremely important. Don't be fooled by Instagram. The internet can still be a scary space. At the current moment, the dark web accounts for 5% of the total internet, and all hell can break loose without the right framework to keep your company data protected. That's why today's episode is brought to you by NordVPN. What's VPN stand for? It stands for Virtual Private Network, a service that encrypts your internet traffic and protects your online identity. With a VPN, you can securely access apps, websites, and entertainment from anywhere in the world. Picture a virtual force field around your computer. NordVPN is one of the best VPNs in the market. If you're looking for a peace of mind when you're at home on a private network, this is for you. Also, is that messaging app blocked in your region? That awesome TV show unavailable in the country you live in? Change your IP location and enjoy the internet with no borders. Y'all know the Canadian struggle. Trust me, it's real. Right now, you have an offer of up to 68% off NordVPN. Yes, 68%. Hit the link in our podcast show notes for the offer. It does expire soon, so claim it quickly. Now, let's get back into the show. A wise man told me, don't argue with fools, because people from afar can't tell who's who.
Jeez.
You feel me?
Yeah, that came hard, bro.
You ready? You ready, fam?
I'm ready to pod. I'm in my podding seating sequence, and I'm just ready to spit hot fire on the mic.
Spit hot fire. Please don't say that again, please.
Super hot fire, bro.
Oh my god.
You remember that video? It just like, what was like
Super hot fire?
Yeah, sweet dollar tea from McDonald's. I drink that.
Oh my god.
I'm about to end this whole man's career. I'm not even a rapper. I'm not even a rapper.
Everyone went crazy. All right, let's go. Hello and welcome to the Hustle Over Everything podcast. This is the podcast where you receive stories, tips, and strategies from entrepreneurs who've done it to grow your business and take yourself to the next level as a person. Later today in the podcast, we have Pauleanna Reid. Man, who is Pauleanna? Pauleanna is a celebrity, ghostwriter, author, contributing writer to Forbes Magazine, senior contributing writer, and a consultant who helps women achieve the best version of themselves. Her pitch is that she's a journalist and celebrity ghostwriter, but her clients often refer to her as their content ninja. She helps high-profile leaders and doers who are shaping the future from their personal stories and turn it into personal brand assets. Think Judy Smith meets Cardi B. Oh, man, this is a great pod, bro. What do you think about it?
It was a great pod. I've waited so long for this interview with Pauleanna just because I've known her for couple of years now. It all started when we met at Branded TO. She was actually one of the leaders who was like leading a workshop, right? And I met her in there. When I first met her, I saw someone who's very determined. I think like just through her facial expression, you can just tell that she's a determined individual. Yeah, it's like she knows herself really well. She's super confident. She knows what she wants, and she's never going to let go until she gets it. So doing the podcast, it's one of those people you write down, like, man, I'd love to interview her one day. I'd love to get her takes. And because you see her takes on social media and, what she writes. So to have like an hour-long podcast with her just to hear how she thinks and her story was just amazing, man. And it was an honor to have her on the podcast.
Most definitely. Yeah, I love how vulnerable she got, I can tell that she reached a point where her story is completely 100% owned, and she's living out loud in that story.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing you got to appreciate. And a lot of people really don't give that much into it. You know, sometimes they'll just have their pitch where strictly their business and that's kind of it. And they just want to hover around that. When it comes to the actual story, the personal story that got them there, they kind of want to, you know, deviate from that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's fair, you know. So like if you were arrested for, I don't know, like arson, you know, you don't want
Mm-hmm.
to have that in your thing. But hers, you could tell that she had been through a lot, and she is embracing it and showcasing it to help people. So you
Mm-hmm.
can't do nothing but salute that when people do that in real life, you know?
Exactly, man. A lot of entrepreneurs fake the funk in a way that the consistent story they say is just how successful they are, how they're killing it. But with Pauleanna, it's just she keeps it so real, and she shares her failures and the things that she did wrong, and it makes you feel comfortable sharing your failures. And there's nothing wrong with that. It kind of goes back to the whole thing about what Gary Vee says about self awareness,
Uh-huh.
right? Paulina definitely has that self awareness where she talks about. I feel like she talks more about the things that she could work on and improve on than the things that she's winning at, right? Which I love about her. It just shows how authentic and vulnerable, as you said, she is. So yeah, man, great individual, great woman, and overall just a great entrepreneur.
Word. 100%, man. 100%. Yo, but I didn't even ask how you doing. And I didn't even introduce you either. I'm Alex for the listeners.
I'm Owen Osinde from
Oh,
the
man.
motherland in Kenya.
Exactly. And I'm from Canada, through Jamaica. You feel me? All right. So how you doing, bro?
Man, it's been one of those weeks that has just been transformative. You know how I told you I'm looking for a new spot. I'm looking to get a new change of environment.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing, bro. As you know, I've been in my current situation for since 2014. So this was my uni spot. So it's a basement apartment I share with two other guys, and been here since 2014, bro. This place has legit molded me. It's shaped me to a strong man, right? I mean, I've seen the trenches in this spot. I remember when I first moved into this spot was when I first dropped out of Ryerson. My friend Toby Saraga and we moved to Liberty Village. It didn't work out. I slept on my cousin's couch for a month. Then I found this spot, and at this time I didn't have a job, bro. And I remember paying rent in change, man. Because when I dropped out of school, my parents weren't talking to me, so I had to find a way just to make things happen for myself. And it was such a horrible, not horrible, it was such a tough time, man. And I got a job working at the Eaton Center at Abercrombie. I was working at Abercrombie Kids, and the shifts were so inconsistent. And I got that job, and legit, I was working to live, man. With all the shifts I had, I could just pay rent. And I remember when I was at Liberty Village, I had the Rogers bill on my name, right? I had the Rogers bill on my name, and I didn't forget, but I told Toby, hey, switch this to your name. And, we didn't switch it. So I ended up with this massive Rogers bill, and he ended up switching to a different provider because it wasn't under his name. So I have this Rogers bill, and I ended up getting sent to collections, man. So imagine I owe $1,000, and I got rent, I got food to eat, whatever. I don't have a consistent income. And I remember walking on Dundas Street West, and I was just tears just came down my eyes, bro, because how hard it was, man. And that was just, you hit rock bottom. And honestly, bro, that was one of the best things that ever happened to me. You know, I learned how to live with nothing and make the best out of anything. I became such a frugal individual. I learned how to save money. I learned how to stretch food. I knew where the best spots to shop for groceries are at. I knew how to be very thrifty, learning where to get the best deals for everything, phone bill, whatever you name it. I could find a way to make it happen. So, yeah. So, this spot has seen through my evolution from Ryerson. This table has seen my greatest ideas come to life: sneaker deck recruits, my relationships, thoughts,
I hear you.
everything, man. But
Mm.
I'll not say this. I have decided to change my scenery. Of course, this place is like extremely affordable and cheap, but it's time to take the next level. So I've been looking at my own spots, apartment, studio, just shopping around. And, I'm nearing to closing a deal on one spot.
Nice.
So I went there the whole of yesterday. I spent apartment shopping, just seeing what like is out there, what is available. And yeah, man. And I'm excited, bro. I'm
I hear that.
excited.
Yeah, all right, real quick. What is your best stretching method for food?
Okay. So the best stretching method for food is eating dry foods, right? So this is like the pastas, the beans, all these different things. You can legit take $20. So this is what I did. And the people that know me knew this was like how I stretched food like forever, right? You can get eggs, which can be a protein. You can get pasta. My favorite is fusilli, and that thing is like $1 a bag, right? So you get like 5 or 6 bags of those. You get like pasta sauce. You get two of those, which is like close to like $3 each or 250, depending if you shop at like No Frills or whatever. And then you buy your rice. You buy like a bag of rice, which is one time purchase. You buy a primo pasta, not primo pasta, but it's like the tomato sauce,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can buy, you can go to Chinatown and you can get like a full um, drumsticks, about like 10 drumsticks in one thing. It's like $4, right? So, I mean, you're close to $20, past $20, but that way, bro, you got breakfast, you got some fruits, you got your pastas, and you got your rice and everything. That's all you need. And then you can throw in an oatmeal there for breakfast too, which is like very, very good. So that's what I used to do, bro. I used to like shop I lived in Chinatown. I used to go to the China stops and get the veggies there, go get the pastas, and it just worked. I mean, and I still do that, man. Like legit. I still do that. My grocery bill is extremely low, man, just because I know what works for me. I know what's healthy, and I know how to make it happen and pop. So I don't have to be spending money out on food and everything. So this is what the
Uh,
struggle teaches you, man. They need to take this Odala Owen Osinde class in university, how to be economical in Toronto.
where being economical is a damn skill, bro. You gotta master that shit. I got all types of hacks and shit that I use. I haven't paid for
Yeah,
clothes,
man.
for instance, in a long ass time. I think the
Yeah.
last thing I bought was probably Get Fresh, and that's probably it. Other than that,
Wh-
like, so cheap. Anyways,
What's
though,
your
what's up?
method?
My methods.
I was
All
gonna.
right, so real quick, Value Village for thrifting shit. Because I know like it was probably I had a little boutique online, right? Not a little boutique. I had a boutique online, so I know how to thrift really well. And that saves me a lot of money. I know how to where when to buy subscription services like for like internet. Internet's $35. Um, so I figured out how to like get a lot of subscription services for cheap. Um, like one thing I know, one hack is that if you hop on a subscription service, then cancel it, they'll take you to their like um, service to win you back, right? So then when the back, you can get a discount, and then you can stay on that forever, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
So
for
you're
instance,
on you're on a like let me talk to the manager type of vibe. Like, like you get them like, oh, I'm not happy with this, I'm leaving, and it's okay, we'll put you on this.
yeah, not the manager, but the other team. The manager won't give you shit, but the win back team, that's where the sales is at. You know what I'm saying? You can get that for like Adobe. You get that for yeah, a lot of subscription services. Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Man, also like on credit cards too, you can also lower your let's say if you I remember I read this in I'll Teach You How to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi, and he talks about how if you talk to the credit card companies and say, hey, listen, they're offering me this, they're offering me that, they can actually lower and cut down your costs a lot just by talking and asking, you
mm,
know? Um, and this is gonna go into my Hustle Nation tip of the week, so I don't want to reveal it right now, but yeah, you can do that. You can do the same method you're asking for credit card companies.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
That's big. That's big. So yeah, that's some of the things I use. I'm heavy on Flip. Making sure that I'm price matching. I'm in Walmart. I'm the worst in
Mm-hmm.
line, taking forever. People looking at me like, nigga, don't you hurry up? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But I'm getting them discounts every time. So, I know how to say a little bit. Let's get into the business tip of the week, man.
Yeah, man. By the way, fresh haircut, eh? Do you just get that?
Thank you. I just brushed it up. I feel, when I get it? Last week, I think. Yeah, bro.
It looks mint. You know, when the light hits that fade, it just looks like it's like with the grain. You know what I'm
I
saying?
appreciate you, bro. Appreciate
Yeah,
that.
bro. You know, you gotta pay homage to the cut, man.
I feel you. Shout out to the barber.
Oh,
All right.
word.
So, business tip of the week is actually going to be very short. I want to keep it short and simple this week, and I want to keep this to all the content creators out there. I want to ask you something like this: what is your top 20 industry questions? Real quick, for a lot of content creators, a lot of people are running out of content now that they're in COVID. They're creating a lot, and a lot of people want to solidify themselves in their industry, in their niche. I've been studying up on this, and one of the things I found that was really impactful to me was the top 20 questions. If you have not answered the top 20 questions in your niche, then you have an opportunity to do that and present yourself as an expert or as an industry leader or thought leader by answering those questions of your industry or for niche. So now the question that comes from that is, where do I find these questions? How do I know? And some of the things you can do is use search terms to figure that out. You can try TubeBuddy from YouTube. If you're, you can just actually try go incognito tab and search specific terms in your niche on YouTube and on Google and see what pops up, because then your algorithm isn't affecting what you're searching for and giving you tailored results. Also, if you use a VPN, shout out to our channel sponsor, NordVPN, and you're in different areas, you can see what people are searching for in those areas. You can use Google Trends as well as what people are searching for, and giving industry expert knowledge on that specific topic. And even if you're not an expert as yet, if you're trying to get there and level up yourself, then look at what other people are doing, how they solve problems, and use them as example case studies to level yourself up in the content you're giving out. This is some of the things I'm looking at as I start to create content for Hustle Over Everything and my own stuff with media. So that's one thing as a easy tip that I can use. And there's platforms that you can use to get publications to amplify your message, like Harrow, Help a Reporter Out. So those are some platforms you can use to actually find publications as well to distribute that message. So that's the ways and methods you can take to leverage industry questions to grow your brand, essentially. So that's the business tip of the week. Keeping it short and simple. What are the top 20 questions? Distribute that to your audience niche, and grow your business.
Word, bro. Thank you for that, man. You guys, you know what time it is. Mr. Hustle Nation here for your Hustle Nation tip of the week. Mr. Hustle Muscle, Ono Cindy. And then Hustle Nation tip of the week is, it's better to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission, And I say this because there's a lot of things that we want and we're always waiting for the approval of someone else, when, the thing we can do is that we can just do it. And if we mess up at it, is we can just ask for forgiveness. And we mentally put borders around ourselves just because there's people around us who they haven't told us that we can do it, but we believe that we've got to ask them to do it before we can do it. So when I say ask for forgiveness, it's better to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission. You're better off attempting. And if it works out, it works out. But if it doesn't, you can just ask for forgiveness. My bad on that. I was trying to do this, and that because I saw this, and that. And once you adopt this mentality, your whole life is going to open up. You're going to be fearless. You're going to be more enterprising. You're going to be more industrious in everything that you do. And you're going to live life with no margins, because you know that you can always do your best and integral to what you want to do. And if it doesn't work out, if it ends up pissing someone off, you can always just like say, you know what? Hey, this, and that. You can apply to anything in your life. It could be that girl that you want to get or that guy, and you ask them out and they're like, oh, I just like you as a friend, da 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 da. You're like, all right, cool, I just want to ask you out. But at least you did it, at least you did it. You don't gotta ask like, oh man, should I ask her out? Just go do it. If it doesn't work out, just ask, hey, it's all good, whatever. But in your heart, you're gonna sleep knowing that I have nothing that I'm regretting to do. If it's that project at work you want to take on, or it's that idea you want to launch for your company, let's say you're an individual inside a company, start the project, do it out, try it out, and then see how people react. If it all fails, what it shows is that you tried, you were willing to take the risk, and out of that comes out respect from your peers. I remember Kobe Bryant, when he was his rookie season, I think he was playing against Utah, and he had shot an air ball. This is crunch time. He shot an air ball, missed. Then he shot another air ball. I think at overtime, I don't want to get the story wrong, but he kept shooting and shooting and shooting in crunch time, but he just kept airballing. But even though he was airballing, just the audacity to keep shooting and to have that mentality that like, listen, I'm going to make this bucket regardless what, because I'm that guy. I'm the elite guy. I'm the one who's got the clutch gene inside of me. And if it fails, I'll ask for forgiveness, then asking for permission to the coach if I can take the shot, even though I'm not the number one option yet. You know what I'm saying? So that's the type of mentality I'm saying that you've got to adopt in everything you do. Is just do it, believe in yourself, believe that you can take that shot. And if it fails, ask for forgiveness. People forget super easily. I know we're in this cancel culture. We've seen so many people canceled a lot, but they keep coming back. So if you're afraid of being canceled, don't worry about that. But just take that shot. If it fails, ask for forgiveness, keep it moving, and keep trying and living your life, man. And that's the mentality that you got to have to really win in life, man. You can't take any permission out here just waiting to be given chances and be given opportunity. You have to go take it. And if you end up falling, so be it. People forgive you, but at least you took the shot. And that is a Hustle Nation tip of the week, guys. Remember, man, it's all about just taking that first shot. And if it all doesn't work out, man, at least you got another one coming back.
100%, man. And with that being said, let's hop into our housekeeping items and straight into the pod. Hey guys, before we hop into the podcast, we have a few housekeeping announcements. For free to support the podcast, if you're on Apple, make sure you rate and write a review about our podcast. This makes a huge difference. On Instagram, make sure to take a screenshot and tag us in Instagram stories. It makes a huge difference. It helps us share the podcast out and expand the community. On Twitter, we're at 24/7 Hustlers. And on Facebook, we're Hustle Over Everything. Guys, we were busting our ass, especially Owen, working on their weekly newsletter. It's called the 24/7 Hustle. It covers news in business, music, and culture, all through the lens of entrepreneurship. And for our paid options, guys, we have some great merch on the store. Check it out at hustleovereverything.co. And lastly, our Proud to Pay program is linked in the description down below. Now let's hop into the show.
Here she comes. Oh, there she comes. Watch out now, this who you are. Pauleanna Reid in the house.
Hey.
Yo, I actually got ready for you guys somewhat.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Thank you, Pauleanna.
Appreciate that. That's
Guys, what's with people in video? Nobody wants to be on a video these days.
That's why when you asked, I was like, yo, video? I thought she's all about content, so I thought you'd be all over video.
But like, for a woman, it requires us to put on a bra, put on makeup, put on our hair. Like, it's a process, so I had to get mentally prepared. That's all.
Got you.
Yeah, we never took that in.
Yeah, I'm like in like a short sleeve shirt and a hat. You know what I'm saying?
You guys can just pick up and go. So there's not much maintenance, you know?
I got you. Well, first things first, then thank you for thank you for putting on the wig. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to your wig. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to your wig collection.
Exactly.
Thank you. Thank you. What's up? How are you?
Man, I am good. I'm excited. Yeah. You know, I'm in good spirits right now.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah, same here. You know, knowing you over the years, meeting you over like many events. You know, I never saw this coming. Yeah. I'm still in Toronto. I'm at my parents' house, but I'm coming back to Toronto like on the 28th. So, yeah, but we're excited to do this with you.
Well, you're from Toronto, correct?
Born and raised, yeah. But I spent a lot of my time in New York and LA.
Got you. So he's in Sarnia. So because usually we have guests from all over the place. So like we just say we're from Toronto, or meetings we say from Toronto. But my guy, you're in Sarnia.
You know? What's wrong with Sarnia, bro?
Sarnia is.
I actually have family in Sarnia.
I have family in Sarnia.
You don't. You're lying.
I swear to God, I have my godfather and his whole family's in Sarnia. You know what I'm saying? I know there's a peanut factory in Sarnia. Actually, when I was born, after I was born a few moments after, I was brought to Sarnia to like hang out with them and stuff like that. And my mom used to have a job out in Sarnia. Yeah, really random.
First time you're telling me this.
Yeah, man. I have a god. R.I.P. My godfather used to live in Sarnia, so I used to go out there to visit him. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man. How are you doing?
Yeah, how are you doing, Pauleanna?
How's your spirits?
I'm really good. First few months were rough. From an emotional and mental standpoint. I've lived most of my life with anxiety, and before the pandemic, I had a lot of control over it. After 10 years, you know how to manage it, but the pandemic pretty much just crushed all that, and I kind of had to relearn how to manage my anxiety and depression because I'm used to. It's one thing to volunteer to work from home. It's another thing to be forced to work from home. Mm-hmm. And I'm used to just like traveling so much and just kind of like my social content, my mental health, my fulfillment comes from travel, comes from human interaction, comes from hugs, comes from, so it was just an adjustment. Now that I'm adjusted, I've kind of accepted what is the reality. I feel a lot better. And so I've been really good lately.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Not being able to hug people, man, it was terrible.
And also knowing that a simple trip to the grocery store could be fatal, I watched my mom take the test the other day. I took her, and she doesn't have COVID, but she wants to cross it off the list. And it was painful to watch her. And I'm like, I don't even want to be put in a position where I ever have to take that test because she was gagging because, they put it all the way. I was like, nah, I'm good. Nothing, no meeting's worth it. Nobody is, worth me leaving my house for any reason other than to get food and water,
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. My mom works for the government in healthcare. So she's on the front line. She has to work on Sundays now, from Sunday to Thursday, just to keep the shifts going. So it's always somebody on point, And one thing that was hard for me was that on my birthday, June 1st, right before George Floyd, she came to visit me, but I couldn't even hug her, when she came in. Man, that was hard. Not being able to hold your own parents. Man.
That's tough. That is tough. I'm here with my parents, and I love the time that I get with them because before I think every workaholic has an appreciation for this time too. Because before, you're just going, living your life. And if a girlfriend wanted to book a catch up with me, she had to book 3 weeks out. You know what I mean? If I was missing birthdays and milestones and weddings and anniversaries, and now I finally have time to be present. And I think that's so important. And it's taught me a really big lesson.
You fly out a lot to LA and New York. What do you do there? Do you have a place there? What's the whole nature of the trip?
I was considering moving until we saw how fucked up shit was over there. I was considering moving. I go to New York maybe every 2 to 3 weeks. Not now, pre-pandemic. I think that it's really important when navigating business is to understand your demographic from a location standpoint. I work with celebrities and high net worth individuals. I don't want to say they don't exist in Toronto, but it's not like, it's slim pickings, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have to go to New York, LA, DC, Atlanta, because that's where my market is. So from my 20s, I used to skip my Rogers phone bill because, you know, they don't care. You know, skip my phone bill to like pay for flights. You know what I mean? I used to, when I was broke, and like, you know, build my networks over there. I remember when I had 0 contacts, and then just slowly, because of the emergence of social media, you can literally reach out to anyone in the world. So anywhere I would go, I just reach out prematurely, and I just say, hey, what's up? I'm going to be in town for 48 hours. I would love to catch up with you, and just make it easy on them. I'd go to their office and I'd have an agenda, and you know what I mean? So like, just fostering these relationships. Of course, you can do it on Zoom or you can do it on the phone, but nothing is like having a collision of ideas with somebody. Nothing is like, you know, having that chemistry in person, that exchange of energy with somebody, because it's long lasting. They always remember the vibe. And I'm a whole experience, you know what I mean? So like, they always remember that, and that has a ripple effect.
Perfect. Yeah. I think that's a great place to start off things with. So to start things off, like, how would you, like, what's your elevator pitch? If someone asks you, okay, who is Pauleanna Reid? How would you define yourself?
I'm a millennial woman who has fought for her dreams and won.
Mm-hmm.
That is my elevator pitch.
You fought for your dreams and won. Okay.
Like, I think it's really important. I think people are so hung up on titles. I talk about this a lot. A lot of people are hung up on titles: CEO, writer, speaker, whatever the case may be. I want to encourage all the listeners to really understand who they are beyond the title, right? My purpose is not writing, mentoring, speaking, philanthropy. My purpose is helping people see beyond the limits of their circumstances. And I use all of the titles that people have given me, I use all of those as vessels to exercise my purpose every single day.
Now, was this the elevator pitch that you gave in the building?
In the lobby?
In the lobby, exactly. That gave you that 30K.
No, it definitely was not. That was more along the lines of, I am a journalist and celebrity ghostwriter. Mm-hmm. I help the leaders and doers who are shaping the future turn their personal stories into brand assets. Kind of like Judy Smith meets Cardi B.
Okay. So with that, there's a lot of intentional things that you did with that, you know? I'm like, Judy Smith meets Cardi B. That was very intentional. Can you break down some of the things that you did in the elevator pitch that was specific to communicate certain things?
Yeah, I think it's very important to be clear and concise. Get to the point, right? And I think that it's also important to not to play small. So I think sometimes people default to, I kind of do this, or I'm kind of working on that, or I'm an aspiring this. And it's like, no, like, you're not an aspiring writer, you're a writer. You know what I mean? Say it with your chest, say it with bass in your voice. And I think that it's also important to say not just who you are, who are the types of people that you help, how do you help them, right? And then I did that last part, Judy Smith meets Cardi B. I learned that from my mentor, Shannon Boudram, who's been my mentor for a decade. Because I think that it's a great conversation starter as well. And I also think that, you know, it makes people think a little bit like for a second, you're like, how, what, you know? So Judy Smith is the inspiration behind Olivia Pope, right? She's a fixer, right? She's a mastermind. Cardi B is one of the best to ever do it on social. Before we knew her as Cardi B, the Cardi B, she was killing it just being herself, right? Like, she is an experience. She is a vibe. And so before we knew her on Love and Hip Hop, she was making us laugh because she was talking about her day stripping. She was just true to herself. There's no fluff. There's no cyber glitter. There was no mask. And so, I married the two. And so I'm a fixer. You know, clients come to me. So that's politicians, high performing executives, celebrities, athletes. They come to me when they want to deepen the relationship with their audience. So that could be, I guess I try to help them think about, you know, what does life look like for you after you put down that last ball, or after you sing that last song? What do you want to stand for? What are your morals, your values, your belief system? What are you fighting for? What cause do you want to contribute to? What narrative or conversation do you want to start? You know what I mean? We're seeing Meek Mill and the work he's doing with prison reform. You know, we're seeing a lot of celebrities that like think about, you know, longevity and legacy in their brand. the reason I got into this work as a ghostwriter is also for the mere fact that a lot of the leaders and the people that we glorify, the people that we put in these leadership positions, it's very evident that some of them are incapable of leading us anywhere, directing us anywhere. And so as a content ninja, I'm able to get into these rooms with influential people who have an incredible impact on our communities and kind of decode their ideas and help them execute.
Solid. So your passion for writing started from like a very young age. You've been doing this like for your whole life, through high school, through college. Talk to us about the beginning of like your writing journey and like what really inspired you to fall in love with the process of writing.
I was bullied as a kid. I was a nerd. I was not a scholar. I was the kid that was sitting in the back of the classroom. The teacher would always seem like he or she was speaking a different language to me. I later realized in my 20s that I'm a visual learner, so it was really hard for me to retain information, so I didn't do well academically. And so I spent a lot of time by myself. I had a few friends, but I spent a lot of time by myself. The cafeteria, the girls' washroom, the library, and I mean, what else is there to do but eat your lunch and write? You know what I mean? So you don't look like a loner. So that's where my love for writing came from, because in those quiet moments, that's when life was peaceful and perfect. You know what I mean? If only for an hour or so. And that kind of evolved into, even though I failed my English classes miserably, it kind of evolved into, you know what, maybe this is a thing. Back then, blogging didn't really emerge until 2009, 2010-ish. So like, it wasn't like, I didn't even know what kind of career path this would be. I just knew that I was chasing a feeling. And I think that's what we all want. We want fulfillment, right? And so I knew when I was writing, I felt really good because I was able to express myself. I didn't know what it was called. Like, I didn't know what it was going to be.
Got you. And what changed from when you got to college, university, post-secondary?
So when I went to my counselor and I went to my parents and I said I want to be a writer, they said, "You're tripping." No, like, because I had failed grade 11 and 12 English. So like, they just didn't understand, number one, how you're going to make a living from writing. And then number two, like, what is that? You know what I mean? Like, how, like, what do you want to get into? Yeah. And so I entered a college program. I entered office administration at Sheridan College in Brampton, and I hated it. At the time, I didn't realize the value in it. I later became a executive assistant to CEOs and presidents for a decade. But at the time, I did not see the value in it. I just kind of saw it as like a cubicle job. It didn't allow me to be creative, and I was really, really depressed because of it. I missed a lot of school. My grades weren't awesome. I didn't socialize, and it led to a suicide attempt in my second year. As a result of that, once I recovered, I decided to drop out almost immediately. And I remember during my second year exam week, I ripped up my exam, shut my laptop, and just kind of walked out the door and told myself I'd figure it out. And I think that's the story of a lot of creatives. At some point, you make the decision to turn the world into your classroom.
Yeah, I can attest to that, man. Personally, I remember this failing classes and being, you know what, I'm gonna go start a blog and, and having like my girl at the time and my mom being like, "What are you doing?" Like, yeah, I definitely can agree to that. And with like that parental pressure, man, it can be tough. And like, your pops is like a military man, no?
Yeah, so my dad is a lieutenant in the Canadian military. He's a retired soccer coach. He's widely known across the province for transforming players and helping them get scholarships. Yeah. He's Jamaican. He's a handyman. He's this or that. You know what I mean? Like he pretty much built our house. Like, so he's always had an entrepreneurial mindset. Yeah. But my mother, pair that with a mom who's a little bit more traditional, a little bit more reserved, likes to play it safe, does not color outside the lines, Trinidadian, so she's hot, spicy. And so like, even, they just couldn't get on the same page as to like what my future looked like. And I'm the first. So you always want to make an example of your first child. And so we all could not agree. And then I just gave in. And I'm under the belief that, your parents love you, of course, but they don't always know what's best for you. And so I wish I had realized that a lot sooner, but everything plays out as it's supposed to. I actually appreciate that tough love because it forced me to fight a lot harder for the things that I wanted. Had my parents just been like, yes, you could do whatever you want, like, I don't know if I'd be where I am today, because I wouldn't have had to fight for anything. It would have just been a clear path, and like, I think it would have been a little bit different.
Yeah, I actually just saw like a Gary Vee clip. He posts like a lot of content, and he was talking to some kids just like, oh, my mom wants me to be a lawyer, but I want to be an artist or whatever. And you know how Gary Vee is, like, very brash. It's just like, yo, screw your mom. Do you love your mom? Do you hate your mom? Yeah, I love her. But like, don't listen to her then, because you're going to resent her. So I think like a lot of people are like in this mode of, I want to please my parents. And I also had the same thing, coming from an immigrant family, Kenya. They're like, hey, grades are everything, go to school. I even left
But
Ryerson
that's all
for a
they
bit.
know too,
That's all they
right?
know, right? That's their picture of success, so
Yeah.
Mhm.
And also, like, they want you to fulfill their dreams.
Right.
They're like, I'm gonna have a kid that's gonna be able to do X.
All
And
the things I didn't get a chance to do. They're going
exactly.
to have a better life than me. But I think it's important to let your kid make mistakes and get messy and explore the world, and you know what I mean? Like, I think that shit's really important because that's what builds character.
Yeah.
I think that, when we grow up as children, we're told we can fly a rocket ship and we can do anything we want to be. And then you get to high school, and then every single person, every adult in your life tells you need to be more realistic. And I think it's a mind fuck for some people. I think, sometimes people are just like, young people are just like, but a few years ago you said I could literally like
do
go to the
anything.
moon. And
Yeah.
now you're saying, oh, I need to be in this cubicle, as if getting a job that's 70K a year is going to, like, you know what I mean? That equation doesn't even make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because of the economy and because of just everything that's going on, it's like, I mean, now we're seeing everyone wanting to all of a sudden create a side hustle. And before it was kind of like, no one has time for your side hustle type of thing,
100%, 100%. And we gotta get into your side hustle and your main
Yep.
hustle and the
Yeah,
balance
sure.
you have. But we want to take our time, put people on a
Get to know
journey.
you.
You feel me?
Exactly.
All
Yeah,
good.
get the experience. So one thing that I just want to touch on before we move on as well was that
Mhm.
you play chess, and I love a board game myself.
Yeah.
Just for the audience, in Connect Four, I'm a bod man.
Oh,
Like,
God.
Yes, I'll murk you in Connect Four. In daycare, I
what?
used to kill everybody in Connect Four,
What?
bro. Yes.
I play Connect Four every day. Like, every
You don't
day.
play. I've been at your
Every
place.
day.
Actually, you do have a Connect Four.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
literally it's like right there. Like, you feel me? Like, every day.
Bro.
But
When I come back, it's a match, man.
all right. You play chess every day.
Yeah.
Why is that? And how does that affect your strategic mindset in life?
Yeah, for sure. So I think that many people pursue goals that they're not mentally conditioned for. And that's why they're not seeing the results that they want. And before you can invest in the Facebook ads and the funnels and all that bullshit, I shouldn't say bullshit. It is very helpful.
Thank
Right?
you. I was about to get you.
No, you know what I mean though. Before you can invest in that phase of business, like, you got to take it back to the basics, right? I love Jim Quick. He talks about brain health, brain protection, agility, mental acuity, how to help your memory retain information. He's a brain coach to many, many superstars, including Will Smith. And even before I was introduced to his brands, for me, playing brain games just relaxes me, to be honest. I think I can sit at my desk for 18 hours of the day, and it's like, sometimes just getting a little bit of a break from work is helpful for me. And so honestly, I'm actually part of a chess club. I recently joined a chess club as an adult. I used to be part of a chess club as a kid. And just strategically, I use it as a metaphor for life and business. It helps me think 2 steps ahead. I don't know. It's one of those games where you have to practice patience. You're forced to practice patience. It's not something that you can rush, or else, forget it. And yeah, brain games of any kind, I think, are really, really helpful.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's the reason why I do that with connect for as well. This being able to strategize and try to see steps ahead can make a big difference in how you look at life and how you look at how you're moving. So you think, all right, if I do X, then this will happen. And if I do Y, then this will happen, and try to
Exactly.
make the proper moves around that.
Yeah. It's
Interesting.
mental warfare.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So did you have that kind of mentality when you went to after you drop out of university and start making moves on your own to become an executive assistant? Like, what was that strategic move in your end?
Yeah, for sure. So in the beginning, I didn't really see the value. Like I was so angry that, and I thought I had wasted so much time and da 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 da. I didn't really see the value in it. But the more I ascended in my corporate career, the more I was like, holy shit, this is the best position in the entire organization. So I assisted C-suite executives and presidents, and I mean, not only did I get a bird's eye view of the entire organization, it allowed me to sit in various strategy meetings, right? Because I would take the minutes or the notes. I got to sit next to the head of the organization, manage their calendars, see what they prioritized, right? I got to learn the language, like many of my bosses. So in my corporate career, I've always had specific requirements. I feel like it's a two-way street. I think people just kind of go where the money flows. For me, like the money was never a priority for me. I always valued bosses who could be mentors. I always valued a stimulating environment. I always valued millennial-driven offices, great company culture, et cetera. Because many of the corporate jobs that I had, I actually entered at my salary cap. So I knew I wasn't getting a raise, but money was just whatever. I really wanted to learn. So yeah, honestly, best position in the company. I've had the opportunity to really sit down with my bosses and learn how to read sales reports. You know what I mean? Learn how to like decode certain things. And so I have to say, being an assistant or an intern is like by far, I think the best opportunity, because you really get a chance to prove yourself. You get a chance to try different things within your role. And you earn a lot of respect, because this is not a rinky dinky secretary role. This is like, you are managing someone's life, that you are their lifeline. And you're taking care of. I remember one of my bosses flew to Morocco with the kids and told his wife that it was going to be, just a little family getaway type of thing, not knowing that, it was an actual work trip. And so I had to babysit the kids from Toronto while he's in meetings all day and they're in Morocco. I had to come up with their calendar and their agenda and their sports and their activities. Like you're so integrated into their everyday life that you're forced to think ahead. You're forced to exercise critical thinking. You're forced to exercise problem solving. You're forced to really just there's no room for error, because one error could cost the company money, could cost your boss's reputation, could cost you your job. So it really forced me to tighten up in so many ways.
And which company did you learn the most from? Like when you look back at your corporate career, which company was it that really helped you see this is the way to do things? The boss who helped you understand things the way that you actually can translate that to your business?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say Hudson's Bay Company.
Hudson's Bay. Okay.
Hudson's Bay, that's the most recent corporate job that I had that I quit January 2019. They were very instrumental, I would say, from a business standpoint. And then from a personal standpoint, I was an executive assistant to the president of an interior design firm almost immediately out of college. And oh my God, he'd rip me one every day. I'd cry on the bathroom floor probably every single week. But it taught me a lot of he was old enough to be my grandfather, but it taught me a lot of how to have a backbone and how to have thick skin. I remember trying to quit and he wouldn't let me. And he wouldn't let me quit. And so He said, I treat you this way because I know what you're capable of. Like he saw the older me before I could even, he really knew, he knew what I was capable of. And so I have so much respect for him for being tough on me. You know what I mean? I think our generation, we kind of have it easy, you know what I mean? And so the first sight of your boss yelling at you, it's like you fall apart, but he really taught me to hold my head up, shoulders back, walk with confidence. I loved it.
Yeah, that's why I've always appreciated like tough coaches in sports. Like this, I think like this whole new generation, it's like we're so easy. Like parents are like, "Hey, you yelled at my kid. Hey, you know, you're causing him stress,
Yeah.
whatever." But back then, it's like our coach in football, basketball, he was just a tough, militant type of guy. Like, you know, it's like you have to carry yourself as if you belong on the court, or else you're sitting on the bench. And I think all of us, even my teammates, we still talk about this. Is like, you know what? I'm so thankful for Coach Els. One of the things he used to say is just like, you know, one of the key things to succeed in life is showing up, right? You got to show up to play. You got to show up to the meeting prepared, ready to go. Everything all comes down to showing up mentally, physically, spiritually,
Yeah.
and ready to execute at anything you do.
It's funny that you said sports. So I was a competitive swimmer for 10 years, and I really think participating in sports and activities really groomed me. In my family, like we don't celebrate participant ribbons. Like if you get seventh place, it's not like you're not getting a pat on the back. And so like it's like if you're participating in sports, like it's because we're trying to get to the Olympics, period.
Trying to win, yeah.
Yeah. And so by the time I'd hit grade 6, I was training at 5 a.m. most days of the week. I train at 5 a.m. in the water, and then I go to school for 7:30, go to school, come back to the gym for an hour, and then go back to swim practice for 2 more hours. And so that was, you know what I mean? So like, I feel like a lot of the success we have today are because of seeds that were planted in us years ago. And I will like, that's an advantage. Some people could, can't afford to play sports or whatnot. So I understand that like that has helped me tremendously as well.
Yeah, and your mornings are still kind of like that nowadays, no?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very much so. My body alarm clock wakes me up quite early.
Yeah, I see your training videos on IG. Like, you know, like you go hard.
Same.
I like the workouts you do. I'm like, damn. Like, I don't even do like your workouts look intense. For the audience, go to Paulina's IG and like look at her workouts. Like, she goes in.
But you know
Like,
what? I feel like working out develops your mental toughness because
mhm.
it wasn't always like that. You know what I mean? Over the years, you gain a few pounds a year, you get sluggish, you get comfortable. We got Uber Eats now. So, like, when I first started with my trainer, I was really, really slow. I was really down on myself. It was actually depressing because you're just like, you know what I mean? Like, you want so badly to be like the 20-year-old you once were, but your body physically can't. So that conditioning, remember we talked about mental conditioning and as you're pursuing your goals, I think physical health is also really important. Like I'm not trying to be skinny, like that's not my vibe. Like, but I want to be able to kick ass both in and out of the office. I'm also a woman who travels a lot by herself. You know what I mean? I'm also a survivor of sexual assault. So like for me, it's not just about trying to be like physically fit, but actually really strong and confident as I navigate the world as a woman.
Mhm. Most definitely. That's very important. And it
Important, yeah.
helps with your business as well because like your mind is a direct reflection of your body, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have a bad body, eventually your mind's is gonna follow. So
Yeah.
keeping your mind sharp is keeping your body sharp. One thing I'm going to touch on is your book, Everything I Couldn't Tell My Mother. Uh, could you tell us about launching that book, what the purpose of that book was?
Yeah. I think mother-daughter relationships are quite complex. And today I have an amazing relationship with my mom. She's like my best friend, but honestly, it took us like 30 years to get here. And I think that's the story of many um, mother-daughter relationships of Caribbean backgrounds. And so I had a lot of skeletons in my closet, a lot of things I had been suppressing. And that's another thing too, right? Like if you're trying to achieve any level of success, like you really need to um, uh, on a personal level, there's some things you might need to clean up or address. Like you can't just like sweep shit under the rug like a lot of us have been taught our whole lives. And so like I got tired of wearing a mask. I got tired of just like being someone I wasn't. Um, and when you don't live your truth, you allow other people to tell your story. And so I laid everything out on the table of some traumatic experiences that I had gone through. And it was like the first step to like me really feeling like taking that breath and just exhaling. It did quite well. I think a lot of people could relate to it. I think as a kid, I thought I was going to be like a famous novelist and produce a book a year. And then I birthed one and I was like, forget it. Like, you know what I mean? It took me 4 years to write my first book. But it's work that I'm really proud of.
And you got started with this at Remix, right?
Yeah, Remix Project. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I graduated from Remix November 2009.
How is that like? What's for people who don't know, like tell us what Remix is and how it really helped you get on to your path towards like your journey in business and in writing and etc.
Yeah, well, Remix, I mean, it's not a club. I want to call it a club, but it's like, it is an organization that facilitates programs, curriculums, workshops to youth across Toronto, across the GTA. They have various programs in creative arts and business, photography, etc. I joined early 2009, and that was really where I met Brian Brock, who's one of the deans at Remix. And he introduced me to my mentor, Shannon Boudrum. And Shannon was very instrumental in helping me get a literary agent. She's very instrumental in helping me framework the book. I remember the first draft that I gave her of the first chapter, she was like, this is shit. Like, this is not good. The reason she said that is because I remember one of my greatest influences is Sister Souljah. And I was trying to embody her and trying to write like her. And it wasn't true. What I submitted to Shannon wasn't true to me. And so she could see right through it. And so she really told me just to like, write from your heart, write from your truth, write from your experiences. Like, you don't have to try and capture someone else's voice. And so, yeah, she was super helpful, and we still have a great relationship today.
Shout out to Shannon Boudrum, you know, creating the book, The Game of Desires, getting my girl to ask me all types of damn questions. You know what I'm saying? What's your love language? No, I'm playing. No, but honestly, though, shout out to Shannon Boudrum. I actually was watching her content from a minute ago, and she's really been impactful in my life, you know, both in business and in like my personal life, to say the least. You feel me? So one thing you just mentioned, though, was a literary agent. What is that?
So when you try to pursue when you are pursuing a book deal, in a traditional sense, like you want to sign with a large publisher, you need a literary agent to represent you. Also as a ghostwriter, so I have a literary agent now as a ghostwriter because the literary agent is able to help me broker deals with celebrities and large publishers.
Go on now.
There's just certain rooms that you can't. I pride myself on being excellent at getting into rooms with very busy people, but there's just certain rooms that you just cannot tap into unless you have representation, and the agent helps with those negotiations.
Got you. Could you give an example? Like, so you have your ghostwriting business, like when it gets to the starting of that. Yeah. So he helps you get into this business by saying I know, he's at a table and saying, hey, we need a ghostwriter. Here's Pauleanna. Is that kind of how it works?
No. Okay. So for instance, I was approached by, who was I approached by? One of the lead prosecutors of the Bill Cosby trial. So she wants to write a book. So she found me online. She types in, Black ghostwriter, finds me online, and we have a conversation. She wants to write a book, wants to pursue a book deal. I then loop in my agent. My agent then negotiates on my behalf my rates, the deadlines, right? And just facilitates all the contracts, right? I create the proposal, a book proposal that will then go to the publisher. And so my agent pretty much advises me on how to conduct myself in the context of this deal, right? She will sit at the table, she'll represent me. Like, it's almost like if I was a model and had an agent, and get bookings. It's the same thing. Like, she helps me like get the best deal possible.
Got you.
Writing your book, like one of the things that I want to know is the process of writing a book. Like, when you think about writing a book, you're like, okay, let me get on Microsoft Word, let me do this. Like, what's the process? How long does it take you? How many drafts do you go through to get a book finished, and then publishing it, selling it, promoting it? How does it talk to us about that journey? Because you've written now 2 books you have up, and we're going to get Mixed Emotions as well. So your first book was your first one. That was like rookie season. And then you come up with your second book, right?
Yeah. So the second book didn't take as long. It took less than a year. I think it's important to put yourself on a writing schedule.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's important to push through writer's block. So if, I like to write in long periods, so I can't just I'm not going to sit at my desk and, write for an hour at a time. I like to actually work in like longer sessions. Like if I'm working on a book, maybe 6 hours or 8 hours at a time. I like to be in a zone. I think that it's important. The prerequisite work is just like living your life and exposing yourself to people, places, and things so that you can be imaginative, creative, write without bounds. You know what I mean? And so like, I'm a lover of politics and pop culture and, fashion trends, etc. And so all that plays a role in how the story unfolds. If I'm working in the context of a ghostwriter, my primary focus is to really capture my client's voice, right? Actively listen to what they're telling me. So we have a series of interviews. And from there, I put my sauce on it and produce the work for them.
Got it. Amazing. So when did you start off as a ghostwriter? What was that story like?
So as an executive assistant, I actually was a ghostwriter and didn't even know it because I would pen my boss's emails and company-wide newsletters, speeches, etc. But it wasn't until 2014 I actually stumbled across an article about a ghostwriter who dropped out of high school. And I kind of put it in my memory bank. I pursued a career in journalism and as an author and a philanthropist, and I did all these things, a speaker. Then I knew I was always going to come back to it. I came back to it in 2016 when I connected with a mentor based out of Philly. And she hired me as a part-time writer. I worked remotely. And my first assignment for her was to write a speech for someone who was speaking at the 2016 Forbes Women's Summit, a really, really, really big supermodel. And so from there, she introduced me to the celebrity world. And the more I worked for her, the more I was like, I could do this. I started my agency officially 2017. Yeah, the rest is history. I started with 0 clients. It was really I knew it was really just about, because I was an assistant and I worked under my mentor, the primary focus, it wasn't like necessarily the bottom line. The primary focus to them was nurturing relationships. And so that was my strategy. I said, as long as I could get into the room, then that means I have the opportunity to pitch. And that means I have the opportunity to work with them. So I just really I just need to get in the room. Everything else will work itself out.
Amazing. Is there let's dig deeper into the business of being a ghostwriter, because we want to, perhaps some can be listening to this and they want to learn more about the ghostwriting business. What does the business model look like? When you approach a client, is there a repeat business? Do they come back to you time again? And
I have 12 writers that work for me. It's honestly way bigger than I envisioned. I want to keep my team tight and small, but we've been incredibly blessed. And so I've had to hire more people. I have 12 writers. I have 8 transcribers. I have 2 editors and 1 researcher on my team. And so we are doing everything from books to keynote speeches. We also do website copy, public statements, business communications, investor pitch decks. Anything that's a brand asset, right, requires copy. 2 of our primary services are books and keynote speeches. We try and really keep things high level. But on the occasion, we will work with small businesses on various different projects. So the model is this. If people want to work with me directly, they pay a premium. Otherwise, they're going to work with one of my senior writers. Everyone is excellent at what they do. We don't have any squares in our circle. We're only as strong as our weakest link. During this time of COVID-19 and the civil unrest, we've been incredibly busy as, white CEOs shaking their boots, as executives and talent in Hollywood are trying to wrap their head around things. Many of them have white teams who cannot help them during this time. So we've stepped in. When we're working on projects, sometimes I have shown on my IG story that sometimes we're up until 3 or 4 a.m. on Zoom. And so we band together. Like there's never just a single person just up until 4 a.m. Like 4 or 5 of us will jump on the Zoom call and we will strategize together until we finish it together. Company culture is very important. And I think I owe it to myself and I owe it to the team to continue to evolve and reassess myself as a leader. I recently finished, actually this week, I finished my course, my women's leadership course at Yale, because I really needed to understand and maybe unlearn some things. You know what I mean? We're entering a different time. And so I really had to check myself. But yeah, I mean, the company does really well. I'm on my path to scaling it to $1 million in revenue. That is like a really important goal of mine. I would love to open offices or open divisions in Europe, Asia, different languages, expand into different languages. At some point, I will hire a CEO and step down because I want to have a family. I want to get married. I'm passionate about mental health and youth education. So I have some other endeavors and initiatives that I want to start. But for right now, I'm at the height of my career and I love the work that we're doing.
Man, I have so many questions to follow up with that.
Same here, yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God. All right. So, okay. One thing that really stood out was the 3 a.m., or 4 a.m., staying up super late. That sounds to me like an extremely motivated team. What do you do as a leader to motivate them?
I'm very transparent. So a lot of CEOs and founders, they hide certain things from their team. We are, in our team meetings, in our WhatsApp group, I'm very transparent. If they ask me certain questions or like any meetings that I have this week, I'm telling them about it. You know what I mean? Like there's no like barrier or walls. And so I think they appreciate that. The way I carry myself, I think they appreciate that I have their back. I think they appreciate my hustle, but I think the most important thing that motivates them and decreases our turnover is the fact that I truly understand that their work with me is only one part of the bigger picture for their lives. At some point, they're going to move on, right? At some point, they're going to pursue other dreams and endeavors. And I want them to be ready for that next phase. And so we do everything in our power at Writer's Block to make sure that their skills are refined, to make sure that they have the tools they need, questions are answered, and that they're able to move on feeling really, really confident if they ever choose to move on. They have other goals, other dreams. This is a blimp on the radar, So I keep that in mind. And I'm very generous with the knowledge that I have, and anything that they need to do their jobs better, I make sure I facilitate that. One of my editors, she wanted to take a certificate course to increase her, her skill set. I paid for that. One of my designers, she wanted to take a course at BrainStation, pay for that too. Like there's no hesitation with me. Whatever you need to do to be a ninja, whatever you need to do to be excellent in your role, like let's do it.
You've also mentioned that you've done $1 million in revenue, right?
Nope. I'm on the path to.
On the path
to.
I'm a six-figure chick still.
6 figures, but you're close though,
Well, we'll definitely hit. I'm confident we'll hit $500,000 this year.
Okay. Knowing like how far you've come from your journey, and now you actually have a 6-figure business. What do you attribute that success to, from like knowing where you started from, like with the hardships that you went through, to actually getting here right now? What are some things that you attribute? Like if you can mention 3 things that actually, like, these 3 principles help me get to build this type of business and make it sustainable over a long period of time.
Yeah. Getting clear on what I want. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of people, write down their goals on a sheet of paper, throw it in a drawer, come back to it when, later. Every single day I revisit my goals. Every single day I revisit my goals. My goals are written in the form of affirmations as if they've already happened. I speak that shit into existence. I'm very deliberate and intentional with the energy and the tone that I set for the day. And that's, part of my morning routine. Second thing is I hang out with wealthy people. You know what I mean? Like I always say, like, if you have 5 broke friends, you're probably going to be the 6th. So I hang out with wealthy people. I drive through wealthy neighborhoods. I take detours and I'll park up in front of a mansion or two. And I just think to myself, like, how in the hell did they, like, you know what I mean? I just like, I go through so many questions in my mind as to like, how did you guys get here? What does this person probably do? I kind of just like have those conversations with myself, because the thing is like, you have to engage in elevated conversations to shift your mindset. I'm part of a mastermind group, part of 2 mastermind groups. And one of my mastermind groups, there's 5 women, including myself. 2 are millionaires. And one of the millionaires is getting ready to purchase a resort. And it's like, you know what I mean? Like, you, in certain spaces with some of my friends, like that would even be a conversation. So like, you have to put yourself in environments where the conversation and the air is just different. The third thing I'll say is my level of consistency, and I would say patience. I mean, there are some deals that I work on, you know, we may initially meet in January and maybe the deal isn't closed until June. I'm incredibly persistent, consistent, and patient with the process, whereas I find that like, and that's why my sales funnel is always full. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I value the relationship. I value the customer's needs. I like to study human behavior, why people make certain decisions. And anyone who's going to pay me $30K, $40K, $50K for an assignment, number one, you better be able to answer every question they have. And number two, like, they need to feel something. They need to feel connected. They need to feel protected. They need to feel like their privacy is going to be respected. So like, that's a process. You know what I mean? No one's just throwing you 50K just, you know, just cause. And so I'm just very patient, and I allow people to feel like they can let their guard down, and you know, they want to work with us because, you know, we're really good at what we do.
Go ahead.
You've said, you know, like you said early on, you said conditioning your mind for success, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of people have been working towards something, but they've not conditioned it. Correct me, I don't verbatim, you said something along those lines, right?
Yeah, a lot of people are working towards goals that they're not mentally conditioned for.
Talk to us about conditioning your mind towards success. You know, you hung out with wealthy people, you're consistent, persistent. How does someone condition their minds to become ready for success?
I think you need to let go of some of the narratives or unlearn some things that we might have been taught by previous generations, our parents or grandparents. Sometimes the environments in which we were raised in are not always the healthiest. And depending on the money habits of your parents or the relationship they've had with money, that will affect the choices that you make. So I think that's like the first thing, right? And the second thing is asking questions, raising your hand, right? I have a money team. I have a bookkeeper, accountant, financial advisor, and I just, you know, I ask questions. I'm very curious. And so I am very forthcoming with the things I don't know, you know, and so you can't be afraid to have those conversations up front. You know what I mean? It's sometimes, you know, in the beginning when you don't got no money, it's a little bit embarrassing. You may feel, you know, shameful or whatever, but you just got to strip all that shit away. You know what I mean? Because if you want to get to, everyone starts at zero. You want to get to a certain point, like you just have to really, you just understand that like it's just going to be a journey and you're going to feel naked most of the time. And that's why I'm very transparent. And, you know, the more money I make, I need to be less transparent. But I'm very transparent on social media about my income reports. You know what I mean? There's a lot of cyber glitter happening. A lot of people who are woo-woo. And like, you know, like you can't, it's hard to tell who's for real and who's not. And so for me, it's not a gimmick. You know what I mean? Like I screenshot, like I'm widely known for screenshotting my conversations with clients or with my mentees. I'm widely known for screenshotting my bank accounts. You know what I mean? Like money comes and it flows and it goes. You know what I mean? Like for me, it's like doesn't make me who I am. But I want people to really understand that like there is money to be made, and like you really have to live in abundance, live in expectancy. For me, I understand that any phone call, email, or text can change my life. You know what I mean? Like if I pick up my phone, I'm expecting that $1 million call. You know what I mean? It's the energy that I put out is what I get in return.
Most definitely. For me, one thing I want to ask selfishly, because I run a agency myself, a paid ad agency, and those deals do take long, but I haven't reached the point of like those 30,000, 60,000, six-figure deals. What goes into that month period, not month, few month period that takes so long usually?
What goes into that? Such a good question. What goes into that? I think it's really just a matter of getting to know somebody. Like, it may be a few dinners, it could be a few phone calls. They could have a lot of questions. Like right now, I'm waiting on someone to confirm a 50K deal. And it's like, you just gotta be patient. You can't rush somebody to just give you 50K. Like, you gotta be patient, and you gotta be able to just, like, there's certain things that I say that put their mind at ease. I kind of reinforce that, like, okay, what I heard you say is, all right. Or I may say something like, reinforce that their protection is of utmost importance to me, their protection, their privacy. It's one of those things where, they just have to you have to, like, once you do the work in terms of reinforcing certain things to them, they then have to come to a point where they feel confident and they feel comfortable working with you. Right. So many people who hire me, they do their research extensively on me, and that's where content comes into play, right? They like my vibe, they like how I carry myself, etc. And so sometimes it's just a matter of just like waiting it out, So I followed up with this individual last week, and I'll probably, what are we in? August something, like early August, mid-August. I'll follow up again in maybe another week or so. But it's one of those things where it's like, you got to let things flow. You can't just be annoying. You can't just be on them, because then it's too transactional. You know what I mean? We had a conversation. The conversation was amazing. They know I'm here to support them. And I'll check in periodically, every few weeks, every month or two. And I'm confident they're going to come around. But it's also a matter of, sometimes these people are just busy as well, right? Sometimes it's not like they're not sitting on their ass. Like, they're busy. Like, this individual is a medical professional and is the leader of a very large organization. Like, you know what I mean? So I also have to be patient with schedules as well.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. One thing I actually want to touch on is a bit different. It's more of an opinion. One thing that I keep noticing is that in the business market, there are a lot of female business empowerment groups, fempreneur, I don't know. Fembot, Boss Babe, Make Lemonade, XYZ, XYZ, XYZ. And this is 100% needed. Women make less on the dollar than men do. These are facts. One question I had for another podcast guest, and I'd love to get your opinion on, is that should there be a space for Black men?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
100%. I know, but like, I'm surprised not like more people have not stepped up into that space, because it's an open lane. Women have endless resources. You know what I mean? Like, everywhere you turn. And I feel like, yes, the world of business is built for Black men. Sorry, the world of business is for white men.
Yes.
White men.
There you go.
Right? Mm-hmm. But, when it comes to the boys clubs, I feel like it's a little bit more closed off. It's not like, you know what I mean? It's not as welcoming. So yes, absolutely. I think someone should step up, and the lane is open, so anyone could dominate it.
I feel you. All right. So moving right along, switching gears a little bit.
I have a hard stop in
a few minutes. Exactly. Yeah. And I'm very conscious of your time. I want to move on to writing for Forbes, and this what entrepreneurs don't recognize when they're pitching to publications. What are some things that entrepreneurs can do before they pitch to a platform, Forbes, Entrepreneur, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, sure. Okay, I'm going to go through this real quick. So you want to come from a purpose-driven place, not an ego-driven place. So you're not pitching your success story. You're pitching the problem that you solve. The second thing you want to do is you want to make sure that your audience is aligned with where you're pitching. So you don't just pitch to Forbes because that's a publication you like to read. You should study who actually is tuned in, who's the audience of Forbes or Fast Company or Entrepreneur. And you can do that easily by Googling their media kit. You'll find a complete breakdown. The next thing is make sure you have all your creative collateral, so your headshots, product photos, media kit, etc. Make sure all your links work, and make sure you're concise. So being very brief. You don't want to send an editor a pitch that's like 1,000 words. You want to get straight to the point. Organize. I can't even stress enough. Email etiquette is not something that's common. Organize your email so it's easy to read, spacing, bolds, spell checking, and personalize it, right? Don't just jump into your pitch. Personalize the email and let it be known that you actually really enjoy reading the column of the specific writer. Oh, and engage with the writer on social media. You know what I mean? That's a really great way to kind of warm them up. And when you land in their inbox, it's a familiar name.
Yeah, big gem. Yeah. Better pick it up. All right. Working towards wrapping up, what have we not covered that you'd like to speak about?
Mm-hmm.
I have a mentorship program called New Girl on the Block. I started it in 2015. And to date, I've mentored over 200 women in 10 countries. Mentorship is really important to me because when I dropped out of school, I had to stand on the shoulders of giants. And I think especially as women of color, as Black women, we need people who are going to advocate for us. There's just certain rooms we will not get invites to. And so my mentorship program is really important to me. You know what I mean? I have a very high success rate. And it's not because I'm teaching any magical business strategies. I'm hacking their brains. A lot of people have problems with critical thinking, problem solving, time management, organization. And so like I get to the roots, the routines, rituals, tactics, behavioral patterns. And I really get to like the foundation, that helps them propel themselves.
Amazing. And where can people find that?
newgirlontheblock.com.
Amazing. Oh, and you had something to say?
No. I know we're running out of time, so I think we should work towards wrapping
Got you. Once again, Pauleanna, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, the hustle is what you can control. So control your grind and control your life. This is Hustle Over Everything. Peace.
Peace out.